When we talk about clutter, we're normally referring to the real world. So clothes, cosmetics, and just like general stuff piling up around us. But these days, we spend so much of our time in the digital world where clutter can build up really fast, if not even faster than in the real world. It can feel like we have infinite space on our devices, so we just keep adding more and more and more and more. And not only are we adding more, we even give permission to other brands or people to add more as well. You know, when you sign up to an email list or there's some kind of promotion, so you put your email in and then suddenly you're getting sent all of these like daily or weekly or monthly emails. Our inboxes become overwhelmed and it's like our space is being constantly invaded. So today's Reset for 2025 video is a digital declutter rather than a physical declutter. I know this can feel a little bit boring and it's one of those things where like, oh, like I can't be bothered to do it. But trust me, if you actually get it done, you're going to save time whenever you pick up your device and you're just going to feel more clear and a sense of accomplishment once you've completed everything. Before we get into the decluttering process, I recommend you make yourself a nice coffee or a cup of tea, or maybe a glass of wine if it's that time of day. We want to make the process cozy and fun if we can. We don't want it to just feel like work. So the first question to ask is, why should you declutter your digital life? I don't know about you, but I definitely feel overwhelmed when I have too many unanswered notifications or too many open tabs. Digital clutter also does affect our focus, productivity, and overall mental well-being. And then of course, like decluttering items in your real life, whenever you declutter something in general, it's like you're taking back control over something. So if we are decluttering our digital life, it's like we are taking back control of our digital presence. So the first thing we're going to do is declutter our social media. We're going to do this by unsubscribing from any accounts that don't serve you anymore. Maybe you've just changed and you'd followed someone for a particular interest and now you're just not interested in that anymore, or you've outgrown them. And we are going to only follow accounts that we are specifically interested in for whatever reason. They could be your friends, you could just like the topic that they cover, you could be learning something from them, whatever it may be. We're going to only follow accounts that bring us joy in whatever way that is. Think of it like, you know, the Marie Kondo thing, whenever you pick up an item and see if it sparks joy. Let's think of social media the same way. Whenever you look at a specific account, does it spark joy? And if it does, keep following them. If it doesn't, let's unfollow. The next thing to do is to take control over your notifications. For me personally, I have my notifications for all social media turned off. So what I mean is I don't get any push notifications for anything. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, any of those things. I don't get push notifications. There are notifications there whenever I actually open the app. You know, I can see what relevant activity has taken place, but you can actually control what notifications you get from each app. If you find the notifications invasive, I would just silence them altogether. If you find them to be productive and important in your life, then you can just choose which ones you want to keep. The other thing you can do is to set time limits on different apps. So I am an iPhone user, and I know on iPhones there are different ways that you can actually set time limits for apps. So whether that is, let's say you want to spend only half an hour per day on Instagram, once that half hour is up, it's going to pop up and it will tell you, you know, that your time limit has been reached. And then that's your opportunity to close out of Instagram altogether. The other thing you can do, and this is what I've done in the past, is to set time limits, not on apps specifically, but in my days. If I try to log into certain apps after 8 p.m., it'll say that I've reached my time limit for the day. And I did that just so that I wasn't going on social media late at night, so I've got a time to unwind and all of that. The other thing that I am doing specifically in 2025 is taking a break from social media altogether on the weekend. This has worked out really well for me. I know we're only like a couple weeks into 2025, but so far this has worked really well and I'm really excited for this. I am a social media manager and a content creator, so I do spend a lot of time on social media during the week, and I have to for work, but I don't have to on the weekend. And even though I don't have to, I found I was still going on a lot and just like mindlessly scrolling. Instead of experiencing silent time or more reading time, I would just always have something on, whether it's a YouTube video in the background or again, scrolling on Instagram. And even like if I pick my phone, I would be in the habit of just like clicking on Instagram to see if there's any notifications or anything new. After I did it for one weekend with no social media, I realized like I didn't miss anything really that happened over the weekend. It was totally fine. Nobody missed me. And I ended up reading an entire book over the weekend, which was great because one of my goals this year is to read more, and I was trying to find a way that I could do that. But anyways, I found that having that boundary so that I was not on social media on the weekend felt really, really good and gave me more time back. I felt really empowered after. Now, what you could do is actually delete the app from your phone for the weekend, or you can do what I mentioned before where you like set time limit so that whenever you try to open the app on the weekend, it gives you a little alert saying like, oh, you've reached your time limit, and then you can decide whether to say yes or no. Or you can just like mentally decide, I'm not going to open that app on the weekend and see how it goes. Either way, when it comes to social media and like this whole digital declutter mindset, I recommend thinking about how much time you want to spend on these different platforms and then using the tools on your phone to help you achieve those time limits. Next up, we're going to organize our digital files. So on my phone right now, I've got all these different applications and I don't have them organized in, those little subfolders. So what I'm going to do is delete the apps that I'm not using anymore. And then I'm going to put similar apps together into subfolders so that my home screen isn't as cluttered as it used to be. The other thing that we're going to do on our laptop and on our phones is just deleting irrelevant files in general. On my phone specifically, I find that my photo storage always fills up really fast, but on the iPhone, there's this cool thing where you can like merge similar files or the exact same like duplicate files into one. So we're going to do that. I'm going to specifically look at all of my imported files on my phone and delete any of those that I don't need anymore. I often import files to post on social media. So let's say I create a video on my laptop, I import it onto my phone and then I post it. But if I've already posted it, I don't need it on my phone anymore. It's just taking up space. So that's gone. I'm going to scroll through my photos a little bit too, but try not to get too overwhelmed with that because it can get really overwhelming really fast. One of my habits that I like to do is whenever I'm actually traveling, so if I'm on a flight, I will take that time to go through my photos and delete and free up storage space. For my laptop, the main area that gets filled up and is taking up hidden space is my download folder. So whether that's items that I'm downloading from the internet, like PDF files, or it could be, again, in my case, a lot of time footage. So I will send footage from my phone, airdrop it to my laptop, and I do try to delete it after I do that because for my file organization system, I would then put that footage onto an external hard drive because that's what I edit off of. But sometimes I don't delete the files after I've imported them. So what I need to do today is go through and delete as many files as possible that I don't need anymore. Now we're looking at the desktop. My desktop is out of control, and it's because I often take screenshots of things and then the screenshot goes to the desktop right away and it just gets all crazy. So what I'm going to do first is actually go through the desktop because again, a lot of the files that are living there right now, I probably don't even need anymore. So I'm going to delete as many things as possible. And then the other thing I'm going to do is turn on stacks, which is something that Macs have. So Apple computers, I'm sure there's going to be something similar for PC, but essentially for stacks, it just puts, again, similar files together so the actual desktop doesn't look really crowded. So it's going to put all of my screenshots together into like one section of my desktop. This is what I'm talking about. This is chaos. Look at all these screenshots. Now we can use something called stacks to actually organize all these screenshots, but the main problem is I don't actually need most of these screenshots. So what I'm going to do is go into my desktop here. Oh, whoops. Goodness, see, like look at all these files. So there's some things I know I don't need. I'm going to delete this. So here's how that's going to work. Use stacks. Ta-da! So now automatically on Mac anyways, I've got my folders here that I've already set up, and then it put all the screenshots together, documents together, and PDFs together, movies as well. So very handy. This I can delete. There's some folders that have ended up here and it's just like I never end up using them. I don't even know why they're here. These are memories, so that's all right. That's from a trip. But I can put this in here. Yeah, that's good. Editing Grace popping on here real quick because I realized that I forgot to film the clearing out my email inbox portion of the video. And our email inbox is one of the most overwhelming places when it comes to digital clutter. Like I was mentioning earlier, this is actually a space where we not only let ourselves get out of control, but we allow others to just invade the space willy-nilly. What I'm referring to is subscriptions. So subscriptions can be a great thing. Maybe there's certain brands that you want to keep up to date with, but then there's other ones that maybe you signed up once for something and now you keep getting these emails sent to you and they're just not serving you anymore. So I like to every so often go into my inbox and unsubscribe from different email lists. Ideally, you would just stay on top of this normally, but because we're doing a big digital declutter, I'm going to take some time and actually go through, delete a whole bunch of unopened messages that have been sitting there for years, maybe. Try to delete those, clean up the space, free up space in my inbox, which is good. And also unsubscribe to as many things as possible. There are different applications that you can actually use to bulk unsubscribe from things. I think one of them is called Unroll. I had looked into some of them, but you actually can't access them in the EU. You might be able to in America and Canada. And also some of them you have to pay for, so you have to be willing to do that as well. Gmail does have an option sometimes, like beside an email, to just automatically unsubscribe from something. But anyways, the point is the inbox. Filtering out our inbox, cleaning that up can be a really nice thing. And my tip is to stay on top of it regularly rather than just, yearly, ideally. Coming back to something I touched on earlier is the general concept of mindful online habits. We spend a lot of time online now, and it's one of those things I don't even necessarily think that it's too much of a problem. I think we can definitely take things too far, but it is part of our reality in 2025. And the digital world can really enhance our lives as well. But in my opinion, at least for myself, I want to be careful and not be spending too much time there because I do want to spend a lot of the time in the real world, so to speak. So like I said, this year, I want to spend more time reading. I want to read even more than I did last year. And I'm looking at my time and thinking, what can I give up? Because I can't just create time out of nowhere, but the time exists and I can swap something for something else, right? So I'm trying to swap some of my online time to reading time this year. I'm also trying to set breaks between working online and scrolling and whatever else. So just being intentional. If I'm on Instagram, I do need to go on Instagram for research, for content ideas for my clients and whatnot. So sometimes I will go on with the intention of scrolling, but I am intentionally scrolling for ideas, not just mindlessly. And again, sometimes it's okay to just scroll on Instagram. There can be a lot of pleasure in life over doing something like that. You might need to escape for a little while, you might get a good laugh, but it's just kind of setting those screen limits so that we don't look back on our day and think, oh, where did the day go? And have regret over it. So my plan is to just be even more mindful about that in 2025. The other thing I'm going to do is prioritize real life interactions over digital ones. I do think I have a pretty good balance with this right now. I think the relationships that I've made with people in the digital world are actually fantastic. Those have, again, enhanced my life in a lot of ways. But I want to make sure that every single day I'm seeing people and I am engaging with them in real life as well. There's also things you can do using productivity apps and tools. I personally don't use any of those things. I know Ali Abdel has a bunch that he recommends. There's one where it's a tree is growing or something on your phone, and then if you enter into another program, then it's the tree dies. I don't know. There's different things that you can do, the Pomodoro method and whatnot. That's not really something that I do myself, but I'll keep you posted if I end up experimenting with any of that. Let me know in the comments if there's any particular productivity apps that you recommend, because for me, it's a whole new world. Overall, in 2025, I want to find more joy in a more streamlined and intentional online presence. So today we did a big deep dive digital clutter, but the key is to actually stay on top of this digital clutter so that it doesn't feel overwhelming whenever you have to do one of these big deep dives. So my plan is to monthly go into my files and just stay on top of everything. We'll see if I do it. I'll try to do like a monthly reset video maybe, where I reset my home and reset my digital space. We'll see if it happens, but it is my intention to make that happen. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I know it's a little bit different to be doing a digital declutter rather than like a physical declutter, but like I said, I think it's important, and I know for me, it was something that I really needed to do because my digital space was getting super, super cluttered. Stay tuned because I am making more videos about decluttering and organizing my space in 2025. I will be doing the bathroom soon. I know I've talked about it already, and it is coming soon. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button so that you can see whenever that video comes up. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.